Hello everybody, I'm Shadow's Rain, and you are awesome. Today's going to be a quick one, short and sweet, much like the girlfriend. We're just going to be breaking down why Call of Duty Cold War, Black Ops, is a downgrade, but that's okay. And we'll just get into that, and we'll basically explain why, and why you shouldn't really be too bothered about it. So yeah, let's get right into the video. So, Cold War is a downgrade to Modern Warfare, but that's okay. So what does this mean, and why do I say it's a downgrade? Well, the first thing you got to bear in mind before I say any of this, and before you go smacking that dislike video for negativity, which I'm not, because I think this is a positive video. Let me just say that when this game was brought out, you've got to remember that it was meant to be coming out next year, not this year. It wasn't meant to be coming out now. It was meant to have a 3-year development cycle. It only got a 2-year development cycle. So when you feel as if aspects of the game feel unfinished, that's because they probably are. So the fact that they've actually got a playable game, which a lot of people seem to like, is absolute credit to Treyarch, and well done them. So let's get right into it then. So the first thing that you'll notice that makes it feel like a downgrade, you're going to notice it straight away, is going to be the graphics. You're going to load this game up after playing Modern Warfare and think it looks visually worse. Now, it doesn't look bad, don't get us wrong, but Modern Warfare kind of did a good job of hitting that realistic point, but also getting the graphics right as well at the same time. It looks good, it feels good, but it doesn't look and feel better than Modern Warfare. So this is one of the reasons that I'm considering it a bit of a downgrade. Now, yep, you know, these things do take time to develop, these things do take time to put together, and that's absolutely fine, based on that excuse I've kind of given the game at the start of the video there. But yeah, you are going to notice this, especially if you're on PC or on the higher end consoles. You're going to notice this very, very sharpish, and a lot of people don't play the games with graphics, and that's absolutely fine. I'm very much the same. I like a game to have good graphics, but it's not the reason I play a game. I'm not that shallow. But yeah, that's just kind of how I think about the graphics. So next is the fact that, now some people are going to see this as a positive or negative, that it has a longer time to kill. Now I personally welcome this. It reintroduces a skill ceiling, and it makes skill a bit more important again. So for example, if you can utilize a marksman rifle, you are going to be rewarded heavily for using that over using a submachine gun or assault rifle, providing it can make the engagement work for you, of course. Now, this wasn't the case in Modern Warfare, where if you had an AR or a submachine gun, you just tore everything apart no matter what range. Grau comes to mind, Kilo comes to mind. I actually didn't realise how powerful the Kilo was until earlier this week, so that's going to be getting revisited. But yeah, it rewards you for using marksman rifles in this game, and I really think that Call of Duty needed that, because there wasn't much fun in using marksman rifles in the other game, because there's not much point. Especially when you consider that things like the FAL and the Odin were doing similar damage to marksman rifles like the EBR and the SKS. So yeah, a little bit mental, but that is what it is. I like the longer time to kill. The next bit is that the gunplay does feel simplified. The gunplay, it just doesn't feel as complex. It doesn't feel as engaging as Modern Warfare's gunplay did, and by that, when you shoot, the kind of recoil that you get, when you shoot, the sounds that the guns make, and the visual recoil and gun recoil are two different things, and you've got that little addition. And the big deal was made when Modern Warfare came out about how realistic the guns were going to feel as opposed to actual recoil and screen recoil, and it doesn't look like that's really been brought into the equation for Cold War. I would imagine that takes a very long time to sort out, because I'm imagining that it takes a lot of time to do. But yeah, the game just lacks that. The game doesn't really need loads of that, it just needs some of that, but it doesn't have it, so as a result it does feel like a little bit of a downgrade, which is a bit of a shame, because the guns in this game, you know, just that extra little detail could make them just so much better. But no, that's absolutely fine. Like I say, it's still a good game, the gunplay is still really good, it's just not to the levels that we've kind of been given in Modern Warfare. So the next is that it feels like a Black Ops 2 game. Now, Black Ops 2 is fine, I consider it one of the best Call of Duties that came out. However, it's a downgrade. Black Ops 2, if you played that right now, you would say, well, that's a downgrade to Modern Warfare. And because it feels and plays a lot like Black Ops 2, you know, you get that vibe that it's got to be a downgrade. So it's, you know, like I say, I want to keep reiterating, it's still a good game, but it's just not on the same level as Modern Warfare's gameplay. Obviously, you've got people who are camp like like loads in Modern Warfare. You can rush a lot more in Cold War, which is a really, really good thing. We'll get to that later on. So even though people might not like the actual gameplay of Modern Warfare, the actual potential that the gunplay has, the actual potential of how the game feels, is higher than that of any Black Ops game that we seem to have so far. So next we're going to basically move on to another point, and that is the fact that Black Ops Cold War feels like what it is. And what it is, really, what it is in its essence, is a Warzone DLC. That's all this game is now, and I think that's all that the next couple of COD games are going to be at this moment. It is a Warzone DLC, which is a bit of a shame, because Warzone runs like absolute garbage. I've made videos on this in the past. Obviously, we love Warzone, but the engine it's made on is utter rubbish. But it's a bit rough. So it is just basically DLC. The guns are going to get introduced into Warzone, basically like a DLC addition to the game. So it's just it just feels like a downgrade. The customizability on the operators isn't there as much as well. So I just definitely, it just feels like a downgrade because of these reasons. Next on my list is that the campaign feels unfinished, it's predictable, and it's short. Now, obviously this would have been one of the later things that would have been planned in the development cycle, and I do think this is probably the aspect, if any, that has been influenced most by the fact that they've had 2 years instead of 3. Now, I say this because the campaign is abnormally short for a campaign, especially for a Black Ops campaign, because they tend to like make it nice, big, and complicated. But because they've done this, the twist, I'll not get into what the twist is in essence, but I kind of already had an idea it was coming, because if you look at the thumbnail art, it's literally 2 sides of the same soldier. So it was quite obvious what they were going to do with that. So yeah, not ideal, because it was made it very predictable. It was just a case of who was it. But once you figured out where you were, it was like, yeah, no, that's it. This is what's happening. And then like 10 minutes later, that very same thing happens. Now, I'm not someone who deliberately tries to predict the story. It's not my nature. I like just to sit back and enjoy the story of any game, video, book, anything like that. I just like to sit back and enjoy. But sometimes in this situation, it was like, oh, this kid's clearly got like this thing going on, hasn't he? And it happened. I was like, yeah, you built up to it, but it was very not subtle. So yeah, now it does bring in some good aspects of it though. So for example, Gunsmith was copied and mildly adapted. Obviously it's a really good feature of Modern Warfare, and of course Warzone needs to feel very similar across both classes, so it was brought back. I don't mind this is not a bad addition, but it's just one of those things where it could have been massively improved, it could have been overhauled, but still kept the Gunsmith-like mechanics. So everyone's guaranteed grenades, everyone's guaranteed perks, everyone's guaranteed this, that, and t'other. I would have really liked to have seen the pick 10 or pick 12, 15 system come into it, but alas, that isn't happening. But that's fine, I can live with that. You've only had so much time, so I can forgive that. I feel the game has fewer maps, but the maps that they do have are generally better. There's not many. The only map I don't really like is Cartel, but apart from that, the maps are actually alright. The maps are big. The maps are the good, the standard Call of Duty maps. But Call of Duty plays at its best when it plays at its standard. When it tries to go out there with maps, obviously you can go out there with guns and 3D movement, but when it goes out there with maps, that's the games that struggle. Like Ghost maps would have been fine on Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but because it was on a 6v6 arena, it just wasn't any good. The same way I feel for some of the Call of Duty maps, which were 6v6, you just think to yourself, if this was in like a different game where there was 3D movement, would have been better. Piccadilly, completely different game with 3D movement, completely different map, but on Boots on the Ground, not a fun map. Whereas I feel as if the maps on this game, on Cold War, have been made for the game it's playing in. Obviously, I know it's an easy thing to say, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. So the maps feel good, they feel solid, they just flow really well, so I like that. Next is the fact that Zombies is a really good addition. Zombies is not a downgrade. I like Zombies, so I'm glad that there is Zombies in the game. And to be fair, the game on the whole is just generally really refreshing. So it's nice to have a different COD. It's nice to have a Warzone DLC, if that's what it's ultimately going to be in the next month or so. But yeah, that's just how I feel. That's why it's a downgrade. Still really like the game. Still think it's really good, but I think it does things better than the Modern Warfare. For example, the multiplayer is nowhere near as campy, but it has the issues that it just doesn't feel as polished as Modern Warfare. So yeah, but that's just my opinion, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you do like this video, please make sure you hit that like button below and consider subscribing. It would help us out massively. But until then, I'm Shadows Rain. You are awesome, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.